Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Killing. The father of an Edna Carr student who was murdered last year is arrested for killing the suspect behind his son's murder. This morning, police arrested Bokio B. Johnson here for that deadly double shooting in Gentilly Wednesday that left a man dead and a woman critically injured. Again, this happening Wednesday morning at the intersection of Chef Mentor Highway and Providence Place. 21-year-old Hollis Carter Jr. was killed in that shooting, shot multiple times there in broad daylight. His attorney confirms to WDSU that Carter was actually on his way to court Wednesday morning for pre-trial motions in the murder of Johnson's son.
We've learned yesterday's double homicide in Algiers took 2 children away from their mother, a brother and a sister. Good evening, I'm Kim Holden.
And I'm Shelley Brown. The shooting yesterday afternoon also injured another high school senior. This happened at an apartment complex on Tullis Drive in Algiers.
Caitlin Rust spoke to the family of the 18-year-old who was killed less than a month away from his graduation.
We've been watching it on TV, like I said, across the country, even here in New Orleans, but now it's us. So that's the numbing part.
Danette O'Neill describes her nephew, 18-year-old Caleb Johnson, as energetic, excited to try new things, and an entrepreneur.
He was in the process of designing a new t-shirt line, and that's what he and I were working on. And so he's always popping up ideas, and that's what he runs by me as his TD, you know. We are very close. I'm the favorite aunt. Let that be on the record.
She says Johnson was not a streetwise kid. He was a stellar student, even in virtual classes, playing football, looking forward to graduating and joining the Navy. O'Neill says he loved causing mischief with his little brothers. Family is everything to them.
He loved his sister, you know, and he loves his family. And that's probably why he was in that spot on that day.
O'Neill says it was Johnson's older sister, 25-year-old Brianna, driving the car, and a fellow Carr senior in the back seat along with Johnson. Neal says the family didn't really know Brianna as an adult. They were close when she was a kid. Police say the three were sitting in a vehicle around 1:40 Sunday afternoon, attempting to sell a gun to the suspect at Cypress Run Apartments when the suspect opened fire, killing Caleb and Brianna, injuring the other high schooler who is expected to survive.
If the window was down and his seatbelt was up, he certainly was not expecting that to happen. And definitely the wrong place, wrong time for him. In general, yes, but definitely for him. He's not that child. He's just not that child. We gather, we talk about it, and then we forget about it until the next incident, and that has to change. When that happens, it's just like the erosion that's happening to our city from a biological or geographical standpoint. The community shrinks. We have to do something about the disenfranchisement because that's how this happens. People are angry and they're hurt, and they've lived in this cycle, and they don't value life anymore.
Johnson's family wants to thank Carr High School and those who have lent them invaluable support. O'Neill asked the city to pray for them and the others who have been impacted by gun violence. Shelley? All right, Caitlin, thank you. Staff and faculty at Edna Carr High School say Johnson was an exceptional young man with a bright future. He was less than a month away from walking across the stage and getting his high school diploma. Johnson played football, was on the homecoming court, and had plans to join the Navy after graduation. Carr's assistant principal says what they lost in Johnson can never be replaced.
His memory will never be lost upon us because we know to always say his name. And we will hold on to his family in these halls. But we just want him to be remembered as a scholar here at Carr, as a young man that had potential. He was going to make a mark on this world. And so we will always remember him as such.
The Inspired NOLA Charter School CEO explained that in the 7 years he's held his position, he's attended a student's funeral every year due to gun violence.
New Orleans police made a quick arrest in Wednesday morning's fatal double shooting that killed a 21-year-old man and severely hurt his mother.
And in a tragic twist here that some are calling a clear case of retaliation, the 21-year-old was awaiting trial in a double murder. The suspect, the father of one of those victims. Investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein has that story.
Edna Carr Sr. Caleb Johnson was weeks away from graduating when he was gunned down last year along with his stepsister, Breonna Brown. The man police say confessed to the double murder, 21-year-old Hollis Carter, was just minutes away from a court hearing Wednesday morning when he was fatally shot and his mother wounded. Now, in what appears to be the next turn in a tragic cycle of violence and retaliation, Caleb Johnson's father, 46-year-old Bokio Johnson, was booked overnight with Carter's killing. This video shows a car pulling up beside Carter and his mother before a gunman opens fire. Hollis Carter remained behind bars for 5 months before he was released after posting $375,000 bail. Now that would cost him or his family $40,000 to make that bond. Carter had been free since September. Criminal justice activist Nadra Enzi, also known as Captain Black, said that in this case, street justice appeared to arrive faster than courthouse justice.
That the justice system did not work for them, and perhaps someone may have taken something into his own hands.
Enzi said retaliation shootings have plagued New Orleans for decades, happening before a case has a chance to move through the court system.
Everybody thinks that the power is with the elected officials, but is with the people. The people are going to have to decide, do we want more of our people dying in the streets? It's just that simple.
And now, almost 1 year to the day after Caleb Johnson was buried, another funeral is being planned, along with another court case for murder. Mike Pearlstein, Eyewitness News.
We spoke by phone with Carter's attorney, John Fuller, who maintained his client's innocence. He said he was preparing to go on trial in the case and to prove that Carter gave a false confession.
Yeah, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb. We on our way to Louisiana with it. The N.O. All my guys from New Orleans, y'all get in the comment box. We back in the city. Now, this episode of Mobb Ties is going to be the Back in Blood edition. The person that we're going to be covering today is going to be a guy by the name of Bokio Johnson. And honestly, I'm going to say that he committed an act that almost everybody that's probably tuned into this channel would say that they would probably do if put in a similar circumstance. But I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Now, the original roots to this story began right around March of 2001 at a place called the Cypress Run Apartments in Algiers. Now, it's going to be at that location where Caleb O'Neal Johnson, as well as his sister, Breonna Brown, would be in a transaction to sell a gun where they would end up being gunned down along with another person being shot. Now, a lot of times we'll hear these stories on the news and we'll just kind of carry on the tragic part of it without knowing the underlying factors. But with Mobb Ties and what I learned upon doing research is always more to the story. And while digging into this story, I saw that Caleb Johnson was a standout student for Edna Carr High School, like I said. But when digging into the background of Breonna Brown, it put a picture in my head of how this played out. And I have a couple takes on it at the end, and I want y'all to get in the comment box to let me know what y'all think. While doing my research on Breonna Brown, I did find that on July 13th of 2016, she would be involved in the shooting death of a female by the name of Michelle Versamendi. Now, according to court transcripts, they're going to say that Michelle Versamendi was shot numerous times in an apartment complex in New Orleans over a dispute involving drugs and jewelry. Court documents would state that a vehicle that was involved in that shooting was found dumped and burnt out, but it wasn't long before they would determine that Breonna Brown was the suspect in this homicide. Now, after she was identified as a suspect in that shooting, police would stop her vehicle where she would be arrested for possession of marijuana. Along with the marijuana, authorities will also cover 18 individually wrapped up bags of cocaine. And it would be on November 21st of 2016 where Breonna Brown will be charged with 5 offenses: second-degree murder, obstruction of justice, possession with the intent to distribute cocaine, illegal carrying of a weapon while in possession of a controlled dangerous substance, and illegal possession of a stolen firearm. Long story short, she would go to trial and end up being sentenced to 30 years in prison. And only by what you would call a Hail Mary from God, she would end up being released by a Supreme Court ruling that would throw out an unanimous verdict just months before her and her little brother would end up being murdered. Police would go on to identify a 21-year-old by the name of Hollis Carter in the murder of Caleb Johnson and Breonna Brown. He would end up being charged with 2 counts of second-degree homicide and end up being released on a $375,000 bond. Now, fast forward almost a year to the shooting that killed Caleb Johnson and Breonna Brown. Hollis Carter would be on his way to a court hearing with his mom when a black F-150 will pull up alongside of him and fire several shots into their vehicle, hitting Hollis Carter in the head, killing him, shooting his mother multiple times in the back, critically injuring her. Not quite sure how they identified Bokio Johnson as the shooter, but listening to an interview that the sister of Hollis Carter's mother did with the news, she explained throughout the entire court proceedings for the murder of Caleb Johnson and Breonna Brown, Bokio Johnson showed up driving that same black F-150 truck that was allegedly involved in the shooting. Now, Bokio Johnson is currently facing trial, not sure what kind of evidence the state of New Orleans has against him, but my take is either one of two things. Now, if Breonna Brown had her little brother there at the sale of a gun, just months after being freed on a technicality for a manslaughter charge, she was out of pocket. And if Caleb Johnson was the one selling the gun, or the other Edna Carr high school student, she should have been in a position to say, hey, this is not the way, this is what y'all do. But that's just my take on it. I want to know what y'all think. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all hit the red subscribe right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box and flood that bitch. Let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to cover, what we missed, what we got wrong, and all of that. And y'all know I'm going to be back with some more real trill spill shit. Y'all get at me however y'all see fit. Y'all call me, text me, tweet me, tag me, email me, CC me, mention me, however y'all want to do it, man. I'm here for it. It's the Mobb. Mobb, 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 Ties.